Hello everybody, today I'm here to review Insurgent by Veronica Roth, and for those of you who have not read Divergent yet, I've left a link in the description box to my review over that story, and you guys can watch that instead of this because I am only going to focus on Insurgent in this review, and you guys do not want to be spoiled. Insurgent picks up a number of minutes after Divergent has finished, and we see Caleb, Triss, Tobias, and Marcus on the train getting ready to get off and head to the Amity compound. Now, getting into Amity is one thing, but being able to stay in Amity is a completely different thing. Because Amity has this weird way of being a democratic government and allowing everybody to vote and have their say, as well as the fact that, well, Erudite is willing to do anything and everything, including breaking rules and laws, to get the Divergent and, more importantly, Triss. Now, this story is one that puts you right back into the action from line 1. It teaches you that this world is even more cruel than you thought. There were a lot more secrets than you thought. And just because you think you can trust someone doesn't actually mean you can. And it basically takes everything you believe from the first book and completely crushes it in this one. And I thought that the character growth was a very strong element of the story, and it had more to do with relationships into families or friendships, not really the romantic side of relationships. I just felt like it didn't really work in this one, and those scenes between Triss and Tobias just kind of dragged the story for me. But overall, I think that the author did a really good job making you feel the community aspect of things and made you really distrust everything you thought possible. And on top of that, you really get to know this world a whole lot more than you thought possible, and I really enjoyed that. Now, for those of you who haven't read Insurgent, I'm going into a spoilery portion now, so there you go. I will see you after you have read Insurgent. I have a number of things to mention, and I've actually kept a list of all of these things, so I'm going to go through them now. The first thing on the list is Marcus revealing himself to be Divergent. What? Hold the phone. I have no idea why this came about. I don't even understand Marcus's character anymore. First off, I think he's the bad guy, and the next, I think he is an alliance of sorts. And part of me thinks, why, if he was Divergent, did he do the things that he did to Tobias when he thought that he was Divergent? The next one that I wanted to discuss is Caleb. From the start of the story, I really had some doubts that I just put to the back burner of my mind with his character because of the fact that he was related to Triss and he kind of went with them. But then you just see his character pushing Triss to find out more information about her divergence and things like that. And it's not like it's going to be relevant to him, and it's not going to harm Triss in any way, and it's not like it's something that is harming Triss as a person. And I really just did not like his forceful nature. It felt more like an interrogation than an actual conversation with her. And then when he goes into the operating room to go and probe around in her brain, a little too close for my comfort. That's just a little too much into my personal space, if you don't mind, Caleb. And I really don't like him. He is on my nasty side now. From the moment we are introduced to Tobias's mother, I did not trust her. She was more than willing to accept whatever information you gave, and she was not willing whatsoever to give any information to anyone else. But she was also very quietly seething when you wouldn't tell her what she wanted. And that's just not okay. You need to be able to give and take in any sort of relationship. And the main thing is, because we are in Triss's perspective the entire time, it really does make it hard to like a character that literally tells you from the start, I don't like you. And it just kind of becomes reciprocal. we're introduced to the factionless, and I thought that was an interesting aspect to see because their community is the largest out of every single faction included together. And on top of that, the factionless really reminded me more of the everyday community aspect of towns and countries and nations and provinces, and I thought that was very interesting because they have their way of doing things just like each and every faction had their own way of doing things. I mentioned in my non-spoilery section that Tobias and Triss's relationship really got on my nerves in this part of the story. And that is because I know that Veronica Roth didn't want to do the cliche, overly used love triangle. And I'm very thankful that she didn't want to do that. But the thing is, she had them have fights and easily make up and break up so many times that it really dragged the story down for me. Their characters are very strong-willed and they're very strong-natured. But both of them have times where they're not as calm-headed as they should be. But the thing is, literally I was screaming at them every single time that they were in one of these glaring matches. Just say I trust you and get it over with and share what's going on, because they really just gave off this vibe of I don't trust you, and because of that I'm not going to share this with you. I want to keep myself enclosed and protected, and it just really got on my nerves after a while. Literally about 100 pages could have disappeared with the areas of their relationship that were having problems. I really enjoyed the fact that Triss was able to fight the truth serum. I thought it was intriguing because Tobias and Marcus are even stronger than Triss, and even they weren't able to fight the truth serum, and this is something that even Erudite can't fight. No one can fight this powerful serum, and here's Triss able to fight it, able to control what she shares and what she doesn't, and if she's going to tell the truth or lie. And in that scene you really see how powerful her character is in what is going on in this story. Now, another thing that takes place that I thought was very emotional was the friendship reunited between Christine and Triss. You see, it's really hard to kind of forgive and forget when your friend says, "Oh, I shot the man you loved." And when Christine is actually on the other side with Triss, seeing how these people in simulation mode are, she actually comes to understand what Triss went through. Here's the thing, Christine is as upset with the scene that took place with seeing this all happen as Triss. But unfortunately, she has Triss to kind of go and give that comfort to and kind of cry with, whereas Triss had to go through all of this completely by herself when she shot the man that Christine loved, when Triss had to shoot her friend. And it was just a very emotional scene when you see the two hugging and just weeping because they realized how powerless a person is in that situation. And is it really better to be actually awake and not under simulation and watch your friend die, or is it better to be in the simulation and die and never know the difference? Alright, one of my favorite characters since book 1 was Uriah. I loved Uriah from the moment he was introduced to the reader, and unfortunately I do not agree with the fact that he's not going to be in the Divergent film. Very upset about that, but I thought it was very, very interesting the fact that Uriah is Divergent. Did anybody else see that? Because I seriously didn't see that coming. The fact that Uriah has this amazing sequence when he is revealed to be Divergent was just amazingness. Pure awesomeness. He is walking towards Triss because you see Triss there and you see everybody in the Candor compound who is in simulation mode and asleep, and these boots walking towards Triss, and you're like, oh, please be a good guy, please be a good guy. And then you look up and see Uriah, and Triss says Divergent and Uriah says Divergent, and I'm like, Divergent, baby! I was so happy when Uriah was revealed to be Divergent. Again, another one that makes you think, I don't know who I can trust, is when Peter switches teams. Now, Peter is one of those characters that you really don't like, but when he starts treating Triss differently, and then he goes and says to her, be brave, and then he kind of helps her and Tobias escape the compound, I was like, okay, is this another simulation? Because if so, Tris, wake up! And then I'm thinking, nope, this isn't okay. Don't trust him. And Peter's this character that is one where you think he can't really be trusted, but he's like this little child who always wants to be on the winning team. He doesn't care whose side he's on, just as long as he's going to win. And I don't know what's going to happen with Peter's character. I don't know who I can trust. I don't know who is an enemy. I am very, very confused with these characters switching sides, and I am so excited for Allegiant, but I don't know what to expect. Now, one phrase that I read that I actually marked in my book with a tab because I feel like it's foreshadowing like what's going to happen in the third book, and literally I remember it word for word in my head because of how powerful it was in that moment. When Tobias shows up at the Erudite compound and Tris sees him and he says to her, "You die, I die." Whoo! I got shivers down my back because I was like, oh, this does not sound good whatsoever. It's really sweet of him to do that, but it's also really scary because I feel like it's foreshadowing something to come in book 3. Scary. Another one of my favorite parts in the book is Janine putting Tris through her simulations and Tris beating all of them, and Janine is getting frustrated and pulling her hair, and her wise, mature front just completely crumbles in those scenes, and I literally was laughing out loud like a giddy 3-year-old because of her reaction. Tris is able to observe her surroundings and really think calmly during those times, and Janine doesn't understand it at all, and it's kind of like a child who wants to get included, but nobody ever wants to pick, and they just say, oh, you can sit over there, you just watch, we don't really want you playing with the rest of us. That is Janine in a nutshell. She wants to join the party of Divergent, but she never can, and it was just a brilliant moment. I'm not going to say much about this next thing, but banding together with the factionless, I knew from the start, just like Tris, not a good idea, and especially when Uriah's weapon is taken from him by one of the factionless, I realized the whole shebang, what was going to happen, because literally, what was rule 1 with Divergent? Wasn't it never give up your weapon? Okay. So every single book, it seems that I have 1 or 2 scenes where literally I weep. And the scene in this book that I wept in was Fernando's death. Now you're probably thinking, Fernando? I had to go and look up his name again because I couldn't remember it. Fernando is the one who kind of hits on Christine's character when they are breaking into the Erudite compound. Why did you have to kill Fernando? He's only in a small portion of the book, but I loved him. I loved him. I was thinking, oh, Christine, she's gonna get like another new romance. But no. Fernando. I feel horrible for Fernando. So then we have to go on to another one. Tori shooting Janine. What is wrong with people killing other people who have the information? Seriously. Seriously. I was so frustrated. I was really happy that she killed her, but I was like, what is wrong with you? She had information that she could have given, and then you could have shot her in the head. Seriously. Think. So, not much to say with this next thing, but the ending of Insurgent. What? I am so glad I do not have to wait a whole year for Allegiant. I'm probably going to start that the minute I start uploading this onto YouTube. Because literally, that ending, I didn't even realize. You know that quote that everybody hates because it's so overused? I let go of this breath that I didn't know I was holding. Literally, I did that. I didn't know I was holding my breath the entire time that the video pops up on the screen. I was like, what is going on here? And then it's revealed that Tris is related to this woman on the video. I was like, prior, what? Now, if you guys would like to discuss Insurgent more, then feel free to do so in the comments down below. I look forward to discussing it more with you guys, and I look forward to reading Allegiant very, very soon. I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, go and pick up a random book and read. Bye, guys.